Cierra Ortega entered Love Island USA Season 7 like a storm in designer heels. With bronze skin, sculpted features, and an energy that could silence a room, she turned heads the moment she walked into the villa. But it wasn't just her looks, it was her unapologetic attitude that made waves. "I'm the full package, brains, beauty, and boobs," she said with a smirk that seemed to say she knew she'd just gone viral. Social media lit up within minutes. Memes, reaction videos, Twitter stans, and TikTok edits. Cierra wasn't just another contestant, she was the moment. Her flirty glances and no-nonsense approach to competition made her both admired and feared. Girls saw her as a threat. Guys saw her as a challenge. She embodied the kind of confidence that made great TV and chaotic headlines. But beyond her on-screen charm, there was something deeper, something no one expected to unravel so quickly. Before we dive into the full story of Cierra Ortega's rise and dramatic fall, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more real-life reality TV breakdowns just like this. Before Love Island, Cierra Ortega already had a carefully crafted brand, and it wasn't built overnight. Born and raised in Arizona, Cierra comes from a proud Mexican and Puerto Rican family. She's a Libra, which explains her deep love for aesthetics and social balance, and she moved to Los Angeles after graduating from the University of Arizona. But she's not your typical influencer. She studied communication and business, eventually landing a role in creator management, working with brands, managing sponsorships, and understanding the game from behind the scenes. She's not just a content creator, she's a strategist. Her Instagram reflects that. Every photo perfectly lit, every caption calculated. Her TikTok is even more telling. Trending sounds, transition videos, skincare routines, and girls' trip vlogs. She presents herself as carefree and spontaneous. But beneath that is someone who knows exactly how to manipulate the algorithm. It's no surprise she was cast on Love Island. She was the kind of contestant producers dream of. Camera-friendly, fiercely competitive, and totally unpredictable. Yet as her fame grew, so did the cracks in her image, hidden beneath layers of filters, hashtags, and curated perfection. Scrolling through Cierra Ortega's feed is like flipping through a fashion magazine meets luxury travel guide. There she is, in a bikini on the beaches of St. Martin. Then again, in an oversized sun hat riding a camel in Egypt. One week she's sipping wine under the Eiffel Tower, and the next she's surfing the waves of Costa Rica. But this isn't just a girl with wanderlust. It's an influencer who's turned her life into a business. She tags brands like Skims, Adore Me, and Good American not just for clout, but for contracts. Sponsored posts fund her lifestyle, and her lifestyle feeds the brand. There's an art to it, and Cierra's mastered it. She knows her angles, she knows her audience, and she knows exactly when to drop a thirst trap or a soft girl post about self-care. Beyond the glam, she's also athletic, horseback riding in Malibu, surfing in Santa Monica, yoga retreats in Thailand. Her entire persona screams independence, ambition, and aesthetic. This was the version of Cierra that Love Island fans fell for, but none of it prepared them, or her, for the storm that was coming. Behind every perfect image lies an imperfect past. Cierra's entrance into the Love Island USA villa wasn't just dramatic, it was iconic. She strutted in wearing a form-fitting emerald green bikini that made her tan glow under the summer sun. Her confidence was magnetic. As she stood in front of the group, her voice rang out with a provocative line, "If I can take your man, he was never your man in the first place." Gasps, raised eyebrows, laughter. It caused a ripple. Right there, Cierra set the tone. She was not here to be polite. She was here to win. In minutes, she had already stolen the spotlight, and maybe a few hearts. She gravitated toward Nick Van Steenberg almost immediately, and sparks began to fly. Their banter was spicy, playful, and flirtatious. Classic Love Island gold. The cameras loved her, and so did the audience. Her scenes dominated the early episodes, and fans began shipping number Cierra-Nick as the next power couple. But while she charmed Nick and caught the attention of millions, others in the villa began whispering, Was she too confident? Too aggressive? Cierra didn't care. She was living her main character moment. But as we know, in reality TV, main characters fall the hardest. Outside the villa, Cierra Ortega's fame was exploding. Her follower count on Instagram and TikTok surged into 6 figures within days. Influencer pages posted side-by-side comparisons of her villa looks and her real-world outfits. Twitter couldn't get enough of her savage one-liners. Fan edits using trending audio clips began flooding TikTok. She was the kind of contestant that made shows like Love Island go viral. People weren't just watching the show, they were watching her. Every night her name trended in the US and even reached international feeds. Cierra Ortega is carrying the whole season, one fan tweeted. Her old brand partnerships were resurfacing and going viral. Videos of her modeling for Skims, unboxing PR from Adore Me, or even just lounging in good American loungewear. Her voice, her aesthetic, her entire vibe, it was clickable. In a media landscape where relevance changes by the hour, Cierra was at the peak of influence. But here's the thing about peaks, they're followed by drops. While her star was rising, someone out there was digging. And soon, they'd uncover something that would change her image forever. In the villa, Cierra's days were filled with flirtations, pool dips, tanning sessions, and late-night chats under the fairy lights. Nothing seemed amiss. Her relationship with Nick was heating up. They shared kisses in the hot tub, laughed about their zodiac signs, and whispered about life after the villa. But outside those villa walls, something dark was surfacing. A Reddit user had posted an old screenshot from Cierra's Instagram stories, one that had gone mostly unnoticed until now. It wasn't a video, just a static image with a caption. But the words were enough. The post began circulating among fan pages, some skeptical, others outraged. Twitter threads began forming. TikTokers started filming exposés. The content wasn't doctored, the timestamp was real. The backlash began small, almost like background noise, but by the time producers were sipping their morning coffee, the wave had already begun to swell. And Cierra? She was still in the villa, unaware, still playing the game, still making hearts flutter, still in control, or so she thought. The offending post came from a time before Love Island, before the fame, before the PR training. It was a selfie video of Cierra talking about Botox. Her tone was casual, even cheerful. She said she loved Botox for how it lifted her brows and kept her face from looking tired. But then came the line that shocked fans. "I can also be a little coy when I laugh or smile." The slur, directed at Asian facial features, was casually dropped, seemingly without malice, but full of ignorance. It wasn't even meant as a joke. That's what made it worse. It was normalized, embedded in a light-hearted post about beauty, the kind of microaggression that too often gets overlooked, until it doesn't. The internet doesn't forget, and this time, it didn't forgive. People weren't just offended, they were hurt. Many saw it as a reflection of deep-rooted prejudice masquerading as a throwaway comment. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. Commentary videos, stitch reactions, think pieces. The image of Cierra, the glamorous, unapologetic islander, was now being challenged by an old ghost she had never publicly addressed. What started as a trickle became a flood. The screenshots spread like wildfire across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Hashtags like #CierraOut and #HoldHerAccountable began trending. Fans who had once cheered her on were now calling for her removal. Asian creators shared their disappointment, recounting personal experiences of being mocked in similar ways. Advocacy pages called the post a textbook example of casual racism in influencer culture. Cierra's follower count, once rising by the minute, started to plummet. Her latest photos were bombarded with snake emojis and demands for an apology. Brands she had once tagged began receiving public pressure. Skims, will you continue to work with someone who uses racial slurs? One tweet read. Her previous brand deals were under scrutiny, with followers tagging CEOs, PR reps, and calling for statements. The outrage wasn't just about the slur, it was about what it represented, the way people with platforms can harm communities with a few careless words. And through it all, Cierra remained silent, trapped inside the villa, unaware of the storm brewing outside. Inside the villa, producers were aware. Phones were buzzing behind the scenes, legal teams were briefed, crisis managers were looped in. But for viewers, nothing seemed to change. No camera time reduction, no obvious signs. However, some eagle-eyed fans began noticing subtle cues. Cierra looked quieter in the background. She wasn't getting as many confessionals. Her connection with Nick seemed strained, though the edit didn't show any major drama. Had she been told? Was she withdrawing? Was she planning an exit? Fans flooded Reddit and Discord threads with theories. Some speculated that production had informed her off camera. Others suggested she was being isolated until a decision could be made. Meanwhile, inside the villa, she may have sensed the shift. The once glowing energy around her felt colder. Maybe a producer's face turned more serious. Maybe a chat lasted longer than expected. The truth? We'll never know. But what we do know is that on July 6th, everything changed, on air and off. It was a moment that came with barely a whisper. No dramatic walkout, no slow-motion suitcase wheel shots, no emotional goodbyes. Just one line from the show's narrator. Cierra has left the villa due to a personal situation. Fans blinked. Wait, what? No confessional? No closure? Just gone? Nick van Steenbergen, her match, was shown sitting alone, labeled officially single. His face was unreadable, part confusion, part resignation. The other islanders gave vague nods to her absence. No one mentioned her name directly. Online, fans exploded with questions. The show hadn't addressed the controversy. There was no official explanation, but everyone knew. Her exit, masked behind vague language, was anything but private. The girl who had entered the villa with a thunderclap had exited with a whisper, and the silence was louder than any goodbye. For Cierra Ortega, the game was over. But the public reckoning was just beginning. As the episode aired, headlines began rolling out. U.S. Magazine confirmed her departure. Marie Claire published a profile piece within hours. Perez Hilton, never one to hold back, posted a breakdown of the controversy with screenshots, commentary, and speculation. The phrase, Cierra Ortega racial slur, began dominating Google search trends. TMZ requested comments from her former brand partners. Her exit was no longer just a reality TV twist. It had become a national news item. Behind the scenes, insiders claimed her departure was a joint decision, a damage control move. Some say she broke down off camera when producers told her the news. Others allege she left quietly, skipping any final conversations. Still, she hadn't issued a public apology. No tweet, no Notes app statement, no Instagram story, just complete silence. And in today's digital world, silence speaks volumes. In the days following her exit, the fallout was brutal. Adore Me quietly archived her sponsored posts. Skims removed her from their collaborators' story highlight. Good American didn't respond to inquiries but scrubbed her tagged content. On LinkedIn, her job title remained, but people noticed her online status had gone gray. Her closest influencer friends unfollowed her or went private. Podcasts that once invited her for guest appearances canceled. TikTok creators used her story as a cautionary tale. One viral video dubbed her downfall the fastest collapse in Love Island history. For someone who built her career on her image, the damage wasn't just reputational, it was professional. Her credibility in the influencer industry was shattered. Brand safety matters in the digital age, and one post, one thoughtless, ignorant sentence, had undone years of work. Cierra's downfall sparked debate. Was it fair? Was she truly racist or just ignorant? Was she a victim of cancel culture or a necessary example of accountability? Social media split into camps. Some said people should be allowed to grow from old mistakes, especially if they happened before fame. Others pointed out that her comment reflected deeper biases that couldn't be dismissed. Influencer culture has long ignored problematic behavior in favor of engagement, but now audiences demand more. They want authenticity and accountability. For many, this wasn't about taking down Cierra. It was about holding a system accountable, about making sure those with platforms understand the weight of their words. Whether she intended harm or not, the harm was real, and that, many argued, is what matters most. Back on her Instagram, everything was frozen in time. The last grid post was from days before the show premiered, a sun-drenched photo in LA with a caption about manifesting a summer to remember. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Comments were disabled, stories were blank. Her TikTok, once filled with transitions and travel vlogs, was now a graveyard. Just views and no new life. Fans scrolled, looking for signs of remorse. But there were none. No apology, no clarification, just complete digital silence. And in influencer culture, that silence is loud. Some fans hoped she was reflecting, preparing a real apology. Others believed the damage was too deep to fix. Either way, the girl who once promised she'd take your man had vanished. Not just from the villa, but from the spotlight. The truth is, we don't know what comes next for Cierra Ortega. She might return with a public apology, expressing regret, and hoping for a second chance. She might rebrand, pivot away from influencing, and lay low. Or she might quietly disappear, her story becoming a cautionary tale whispered in DMs between rising influencers. What we do know is that fame is fragile. One moment you're the it girl, the next you're a trending scandal. Her story is about more than one post. It's about accountability, about the price of visibility, about the internet's unforgiving memory. Will she bounce back? Only time will tell. But as the villa lights dim and the summer ends, Cierra Ortega's chapter closes. Not with a bang, but with the echo of silence. Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that go beyond the headlines.